Hello everyone, welcome back into a video. So, the Microsoft Activision deal is seemingly kicking up in the news as we might be coming to a close finally. Seemingly it's getting closer and closer to being approved in my opinion. I think it's been going through. I think it will. I've had that mindset from the beginning, to be honest. But anyway, a little backstory. Microsoft subpoenaed for Sony to provide documents to the FTC and all that when it comes to various things, and Sony has actually kind of filed a motion to dismiss it because, let's be real here, it's pretty obvious they have something to hide they do not want the regulators to know about. But before we get to that, this video is brought to you by Apex Gaming PC. So if you're interested in getting a gaming PC, they have various options such as various gaming PCs such as, ready to go, custom builds, 50% off. And they even offer gaming laptops as well, and they partner with various content creators. We know those partners are affiliates, like myself, so if you're interested, link down in the description below. Let's get to the actual news. So we're going to be going over the actual documents. There's parts I've highlighted that I have been highlighting the images I'm about to show you, because I'd say they're pretty darn relevant, so let's go over it. So the first one is one of the documents that Sony has been denied. So this one they have to do, and this one's I'd say the most interesting one in my opinion. Request 35. Sony seeks to squash Request 35, which asks Sony to produce a executed copy of every content licensing agreement they have entered with any third-party publisher between January 1st, 2012 and present. For the record, you'll see later, Sony argues that such info has no apparent prohibitive value. Oh yes, it freaking does. Sony further asserts that Sony's system does not enable Sony to search for contracts by company type, and instead requires a search by company name. Bullshit! Come on now. We're in the digital age now. Everything is digitalized now, Sony. You're so full of it. Anyway, compiling the contract documents responsive to the request would require a normal review of over 150,000 contract records with roughly 60,000 copies across various databases. Sony argues that such a manual review is unduly burdensome, particularly because Sony will also have to determine whether each contract imposes a notice obligation when disclosing the contract to a third party. Microsoft is arguing that the complaint in this case makes a number of allegations regarding high-performance video game console developers' exclusivity arrangements with video game publishers. Aha! Now we see why Microsoft requested this one specifically. Microsoft stating that it is aware that Sony requires many third-party publishers to agree to exclusivity provisions, including preventing the publisher from putting their games on Xbox multi-game subscriptions or Game Pass, and that understanding the full extent of Sony's exclusivity arrangements and their effect on industry competitiveness will assist in its defense. I assure you, it will. Microsoft further contends that Sony's 150,000 figure represents all of its contracts, not just content licensing agreements, and that Sony presumably is aware of the names of the companies with which has content licensing agreements, and therefore can create keyword searches to isolate those relevant contracts. Oh, this is the number one. This is the one that Sony did not want us to know about. I guarantee it, because it would further prove, without a shadow of a doubt, they are the biggest hypocrites when it comes to this whole mess. The biggest hypocrites. Come on now. Final Fantasy, Spider-Man, Street Fighter, Stellar Blade. The list goes on and on and on. And I guarantee you that Resident Evil contract that got leaked in 2021, I think it was. So right before Resident Evil 8 was coming out, where it was revealed that Sony paid Capcom to block it from going to Game Pass. I suppose the quote was quote-unquote blocking rights. Come on now. And I guarantee you they're doing the same fucking thing with the Call of Duty games as well. Ever since they started that marketing deal nonsense with Activision with Black Ops 3, as we all know. Anyway, continuing. The nature and the extent of Sony's contract licensing agreements are relevant to the complaint's allegations of exclusivity arrangements between video game console developers and developers and publishers. See complaint 9, 12, 51, 53. Referencing exclusivity arrangements. In addition, the alleged burden of having to review an excessive volume of contracts is materially decreased because, held above, the applicable date range will be limited to January 1st, 2019 to the present. Moreover, it is logical to assume that Sony can determine the names of those companies with which as content licensing contracts and frame its digital record search accordingly to minimize the need for a manual search of all its contract records. Based on the foregoing, Sony's request to squash request 35 is rejected. Boom fucking shit. Good ass fucking shit. Good. I want Sony to fucking squirm. They deserve it. I know fanboys will be like, oh, Microsoft's done the same thing. Yeah, they do. They absolutely do. I felt this statement for a long time. Third-party exclusives are fucking stupid, especially timed ones. Now the console maker published, they funded it. Sure, okay, why not? Sure, I totally get that. But money hats, that shit needs to go out the fucking window. And I guarantee it. The reason that Final Fantasy VII Remake is not on Xbox at this point, I guarantee it that Sony paid Square Enix once again to make sure that it never comes to Xbox. I can almost guarantee it. I mean, why else would it not be on Xbox at this point? Why else wouldn't it be? Or the only illogical explanation, which this one kind of, I guess, could make sense, is that Square Enix wants Microsoft to pay for the port, but let's be real here. Square Enix is the most incompetent publisher on the freaking planet. Let's be freaking real here. I mean, come on now. They sold off Tomb Raider and Deus Ex. Come on now. How incompetent. They even fucked up the Marvel Avengers IP. How do you fuck that up? How do you screw that up? Come on now. That should tell you just how incompetent Square Enix is, man. Come on. Anyway, continuing. Request to squash or limit subpoena in accordance with Exhibit H. Sony requests an order limiting the definition in the subpoena in various unspecified individual document. Request in accordance with a submittal attached to the motion identifies Exhibit H. Sony Interactive Entertainment refers generally to its response to the subpoena containing objections to 20 separate definitions, asserting that the definitions are overly broad, duly burdensome, and vague. Motion at 7. Sony fails to include any particulars, examples, or legal arguments. Moreover, Sony's Exhibit H is not itself a legal argument or any explanation for squashing or limiting any definition or document request, but rather appears to be a document setting forth Sony's understanding of various agreements made by Sony and Microsoft in the course of negotiating their objections to the subpoena. This catch-all approach by Sony fails to meet its burden on a motion to squash or limit. Accordingly, Sony's request that the subpoena definitions of various individual document requests be squashed or limited in accordance with Exhibit H is rejected. Based on the foregoing, the motion is granted in part and denied in part, as set forth below. Sony's request to limit custody is denied. And this is the interesting part, the one that's highlighted in red. Sony's attempt to shift responsibility for its failure to properly support its position to Microsoft for Microsoft's purported refusal to grant an adequate extension to Sony's time to move to squash is unavailing. Motion at 7. While such agreements are encouraged, a party is not obligated to agree to extensions of time, and Sony fails to explain why. After agreeing to 3 motions to extend Sony's time to file a motion to squash, Microsoft is obligated to agree again. Moreover, Sony withdrew its 4th motion to extend. Wow, so the judge is actually calling Sony out on their fucking dishonesty. Wow. So the judge is seeing right through Sony's bullshit. Unbelievable. Especially after the FTC was actually suing to block it. Wow. Maybe the FTC is actually wising up for once with regard to this whole thing. And actually calling Sony out on their absolute bullshit. Damn. Anyway, to sum this up. Here are the actual things that are granted and denied in part. Set forth below. First one. Sony's request to limit custodians is denied. As we kind of just went over that one, that was kind of a whole thing. Second, Sony's request to limit document requests, including requests 14, 19, 22, 25, 20, 29, 35, and 43, to the time period January 1st, 2019 to the present is granted. Sony's request to squash document request number 3, denied. Sony's request to squash document request 13 is granted. That's the one about the performance reviews of Jeremiah, by the way. Which, okay, I'm sure Microsoft could live with that one. Number 5. Sony's request to squash document request 35 is denied. And finally, Sony's request to squash or limit the subpoena, including its definitions, instructions, and document requests, in accordance with Exhibit H to the motion is denied. Ordered by D. Michael Chappelle, the Chief Administrative Law Judge. Damn, man. Whoo, this just blew up in Sony's freaking face. And good. They have been proven. They knew what they were doing. You know, being dishonest to. They were willing to be dishonest to judges, man. Because they knew they got some shady shit to hide. I know fanboys like to say, oh, Microsoft does the same too. Yeah, and I'll say it again. Third-party exclusives are cancerous, especially when they're timed. That shit really annoys me to no end. It have further exposed their hypocrisy. And I hope say that, oh, Microsoft money had Starfield. I'm like, yeah, they bought Bethesda. And I know how, and these fanboys always fail to bring up that Sony was trying to do the exact same shit, but Microsoft outbid them by buying the freaking company. So, that argument goes out the freaking window. Okay? And like I said before, I guarantee you, the reason Final Fantasy VII Remake is not on Xbox at this point is mainly because of Sony money hiding the living shit out of it. And I guarantee you, I'm going to say it right now, Sony definitely paid Square Enix to keep it off of Xbox permanently. I can almost guarantee it. If I'm wrong, hey, I'll be the first to say it and admit it that I was wrong. But I have a feeling I'm not wrong, because the game has been out for almost 3 years now at this point. And it's already out on PC. Came out to PC in 2021, I think. At the end of it, actually, at the Game Awards, funny enough. But I heard the PC port of that game was shit. Apparently, it was unoptimized. Not to mention, it was on the Epic Game Store, so, you know. I don't really use the Epic Game Store. I only use that to get free PC games, to be honest with you. That's the only reason I use it, but that's a whole different thing, whole different story, though, but yeah, gee, and you wonder why Sony was trying to, reject it. And they got handled L after L after L. Good. I want them to squirm. Because it would factually prove, without a shadow of a doubt, that they are the biggest hypocrites in the gaming industry when it comes to this whole Activision deal nonsense. And it's kind of well deserved, so it's going to be interesting to see. And apparently there's like a protective case where info could be sealed and whatnot. But either way, though, let's be honest here, that info is going to leak out. Just like what happened with the Resident Evil contract, a couple years ago. It's gonna leak out. I hate to tell you people, it's gonna leak out one way or another, and I'm looking forward to that. It's gonna be spicy. So, and when that info is leaked out, oh no, I can already sense the damage control from Sony fanboys. And if there's gonna be enough salt, oh, I'm making a salt video on that one. I can't wait for that. That's gonna be so good. Yep. It's gonna be fun to see what it's gonna be interesting to see what kind of deals there was. So I can already think of a few right now. Stellar Blade, that was supposed to be multiplat before Sony might have had the damn thing. Let's see, Deathloop. I played it when it came to Xbox. Seafood, that's coming to Xbox pretty soon. Let's see, Ghostwire, that's coming to Xbox, when the deal expires with Sony. Let's see, what other ones? Let's see, they tried to money had Starfield. That blew up in their face when Microsoft bought Bethesda. I'm trying to think of what other ones. Street Fighter 5. There's plenty of other ones out there. Final Fantasy, like I mentioned before. Let's see, doing time DLC bullshit with Call of Duty. They're mad about the acquisition because they're losing that, along with the marketing deal. There's many more examples. I mean, money had Spider-Man into a fucking oblivion. Man, it's kind of a shame that it's not the full 20 total, because I would have loved to fucking see that. I would have loved to see the nonsense behind that one. I would have loved to freaking seen that. I guess you can't have everything, folks, but either way, though, I'm really freaking happy about this, because it was kind of proves how freaking hypocritical Sony has been about this whole thing. and it's gonna blow up in their freaking face. Either way, though, you know, Sony took a massive L with this one. And it's kind of well deserved because they shit the bed by crying so much to regulators and it blew up in their face. What did you expect, Sony? Did you really think Microsoft wasn't gonna subpoena for documents that were gonna be relevant to this whole thing? What did you expect? What did you really expect, Sony? And it's kind of well deserved. So anyway, I can't wait to see where this leads because things are getting really spicy here. It's so hilarious to see a corporation freaking squirm like Sony is over this whole thing. Anyway, that's all I got to really say on this video. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comment section below. And if you like this video, hit the like button and consider hitting that subscribe button so you do not miss any more videos. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Till then, have a good one.